Hi, this is George Alger. Welcome to today's segment of OurVentura TV. Today we're going to be speaking about the Religion Communicators Council. And joining us is Reverend Brian Fesler and Ginny Hizer. Welcome, Brian and Ginny. And let's start off with the most basic question. What is the Religion Communicators Council?
Great question. Religion Communicators Council is a membership organization of those folks who do communications for faith-based organizations. We're nationwide, and we are kind of a network for folks that are learning how to do their job better, to share their faith stories. We've been around a while, and Brian can share a little bit about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, George. Thanks for having us here.
Sure.
The RCC was founded in the 1920s, actually. At that time, the world was all interested in a new profession called public relations, which had kind of sprung up in the late 1800s. And by the 1920s, some ministers got together and said, we need to use these tools to propagate the faith. So it was a bunch of Protestant ministers and clergy from different Protestant faiths in the east part of the United States came together. And then a few years into it, maybe about the 70s, they let the Catholics in. And then in the 80s or 90s, they opened it up to be interfaith. So in that sense, it's the oldest such organization that's interfaith in existence.
Very good. And it's a nonprofit. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Yes.
Nonprofit.
Very good. So what does this mean in terms of, let's say, daily or weekly operations?
Jenny, you want to?
Sure. Well, we have an annual convention. We actually just had it last week, so we're fresh off of that. But we have professional development webinars and seminars that are ongoing throughout the year. So one of the things that is a value for our members is just that networking with other folks who do a similar job. They can share best practices. They understand the challenges that folks who are communicating about faith-based topics understand and are dealing with the same kind of challenges. So that networking and that feeling of community, that these other people in this organization understand what they're dealing with, that's one of the best values. So we try and have ongoing programming that supports that and helps our members continue in their professional development.
Yeah, and the local chapters will have meetings in person. It happened more prior to the pandemic, but we'll meet in person and we'll maybe visit the TV station or visit the tour of the newspaper station or have a guest come and speak to us about media relations or whatever our members are interested in that week, web design, social media, that kind of thing. And so then when the pandemic hit, we started taking those online, of course, like everybody else. And it's developed into a more people can participate in the monthly meetings and so forth.
Very good. So is the RTC primarily targeted to the folks who administer the various interfaith religions, or is there also a part of that reaches out to the public?
It's mainly for the communications professionals within the different faiths. That's the religion communicators. That's the communicators part of it. And pretty much every denomination I've run across has a department or a section or some office that does communications for it. So we reach out and we try to find those people, or they find us. We're not exactly for the broad public. It's more of a professional association.
Very good. And in terms of professional development, when you're working with people across multiple faiths, it seems like this is a wonderful opportunity for almost cultural or societal bringing people together.
Yeah.
Do you find that has a facility like that?
For sure.
Yeah, it certainly has. And I think that's one of the strengths of the organization is that it is, people are still striving to tell the story of their denomination or their organization, whatever that is. but they have similar problems and issues with folks that are telling their story for their denomination and organization. So that sharing of ideas, of best practices, of just understanding what those challenges are to help people in the secular world think about their faith. Everyone is telling their stories. How can we do that better? And that's pretty
Yeah.
neat.
And the different denominations have similar issues in communications. I mean, we all have the same internet. We all share, our local, we have, I don't know, probably 100 different denominations in the city where I live, but we all have one major newspaper and 3 TV stations, and they're all the same. So we all share common needs and common problems, and it's really interesting to see how each faith group approaches those problems and tries to address them. And so there's always something to learn, and also kind of a relief just to know you're not in this alone. There's a lot of good people trying to do a lot of good in the world.
George,
Yeah, sure.
well, at our convention last week, one of the things, as Brian was speaking about, one of the new technology aspects coming up is the AI. So, how are different denominations going to address it and take care of that and handle it? So that's going to be a pretty robust discussion as we look forward this year. We've got a few webinars we're working on to get scheduled.
I bet. You guys have a unique perspective based on what Brian was just mentioning in terms of, sort of handling the different problems either uniquely or together. But I want to ask you, are there opportunities for the different faiths to work together to communicate, let's say, similar messages? So in other words, it's not known, it may not necessarily be communications about a specific religion, but broader communications about things that maybe multiple religions adhere to.
Yeah. We have not tried to coordinate messages amongst the different faiths. We try mainly to help each individual lift up their own messages. But what you're saying is really interesting, because I've noticed that the messages of this group are often really similar to the messages of this group. And that's why this organization is so important to me, is because we're lifting up the people who are lifting up the good people who are doing good work and trying to make the world a better place. And the media that, if you'll call it media, that comes out of these people, it's always got something good. It's always a good intention. It's always well-intentioned people that are trying to do good. And so just in supporting those different groups, I think that helps to further and spread, messages of humanity, messages of peace and cooperation and goodwill, and things that we need more than ever in our world.
Well said. Ginny and Brian, we're just about out of time here. I want to wrap things up by asking if there's a website that viewers could go to for more information, and if you have a summating message for the viewers.
Sure, we'd love to have folks visit our website, which is religioncommunicators.org. Sorry about that. religioncommunicators.org.
Very good.
Yeah, and I would just like to encourage viewers. Most viewers are probably members of some denomination, some faith, and to support your faith communicators and send them our way, or just support them. They're doing hard work, and it's important work, and just to be aware of that. That's an important thing. And if your congregation or your church body or your synagogue or whatever doesn't have this going on, then consider starting a section or a department or an office that would do this kind of work.
Thank you very much, Brian and Ginny. We're going to wrap up now.
Thank you, George.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is George Alger signing off for this segment of OurVentura TV. Until we meet again.